Good afternoon, or good evening, actually. This is Robert Cornicelli, the National President for Veterans for America First. And I'm lucky today again. And I always I always seem to start these endorsement interviews off the same way because it really is an honor. It really is a privilege when you get to speak to so many great Americans who've done so much for this country. And you get the chance to interview them and give them endorsements for the race of their choice. And I have on the phone or on the video right now, Dr. Jeff Gunter. Now, this is a very special individual. He was the past ambassador to Iceland under President Trump, which I find amazing. It's one of those things where you wonder how you got there, what you did when you were there. It's just an amazing thing that I'm sitting here talking with someone who represented our country overseas. And I've watched the movie about Benghazi a thousand times, not a thousand times, many times, and about Chris Ambassador Stevens and the danger you could be in there wherever you are. You're a hero for doing that. You left your country, you went to a country you've never been to before, and you represented us. So, Dr. Gunter, it's a pleasure to have you.
Captain C, I'm honored to be here. Let me tell you, the honor and the privilege is mine. With great privilege comes great responsibility. And when President Trump sent me to Iceland, exemplary and plenipotentiary with the full power and authority of the President of the United States, I left America with a great understanding of the sacrifice that our veterans have given me and my family. I can't get it out of my mind, the brave soldiers bobbing in the waves off the coast of Normandy, Omaha Beach, and Utah Beach, as they went from halfway around the world to liberate these countries and also to liberate concentration camps where they were literally murdering 6 million Jews and individuals of my family. My father was a JAG. My great uncle served in World War I, where interestingly he grew up in Indianapolis. And the story he used to tell me was he was an expert navigator in the Navy. The only problem was he'd never stepped foot in a boat, but he was so good at it, he was used for that. And really, it was just such a blessing. And one of the highlights of my time in Iceland serving my country was being able to take care of the military. Let's face it, everything we do, like we talked about, Captain C, everything I do, every time I get up, whatever I do, whatever my family does, whatever my children does, is because of the service and the sacrifice that our great American soldiers and veterans have given me as a gift. So the honor is mine to be here. And thank you all who are watching this for your service. And may God look over you. And thank you for all the blessings that you've bestowed upon our amazing country.
You know, we have in our government politicians, but we also have elected officials. And there is a fine line between a politician and an elected official. And a lot of people can't see the fine line. They see them both as the same thing. And I know you're going to be an amazing elected official. You're not going to be a politician. And how I know that is most people think I just hit record and we started talking, but no, we had an extensive conversation on what veterans need twice now. And I think we've gone over more than a handful of issues that I know veterans, disabled veterans, retirees suffer from. And not once did you say, well, I don't know if we can do something like that. And I'll tell you this, I was at a convention here in South Carolina and I spoke to a sitting US senator about, I believe every single Vietnam veteran, this is Robert Cornicelli, every single Vietnam veteran who stepped foot in Vietnam should be immediately 100% service connected disabled. Like they do not need to fight for a status and then it take 10, 15, 20 years but they've suffered that period of time mentally, physically, morally. Their soul is just destroyed because their government let them down. And you know what this guy said? I don't know that. What do you think that's going to cost? I said 40 billion. I already knew the number of the bill I wrote, $40 billion. And he's like, "What are you crazy?" I said, "Do you realize how much Doge just found in trillions in what you guys have been sending overseas?" And that's just what they found in that short period of time. Don't you tell me we don't have the money for all the people who step. I'll give you, if you went to Route Irish, which was one of the most dangerous roads in Iraq, people getting blown up by IEDs daily. What if you went down that road 50 times and never got blown up? You don't think there's some scar in your brain of every single time you drive a vehicle here? No, there is a scar. You don't see it, but there's a scar. And you have no clue what that person's feeling or going through every single day. Immediately, everyone who stepped foot in Iraq into a combat zone should be 100% service-connected disabled. They shouldn't have to come to you with complaints. And the thing about you, Dr. Gunter, or Ambassador Gunter, is you've never even asked what the price tag of the bills or the things that I presented to you. And I know I'm talking a little bit more and people want to hear from you, but I want them to know you've been an ambassador, so you've been up there. Most people would have said immediately, what would that cost? And you didn't say that. You said, we got to get this done.
The price has already been paid. The price was paid for them. The price was paid as they walked through Fallujah. As we talked about earlier, the price was paid with my patients years ago who were in the Bataan Death March. The price was paid by my patients who were sitting in the foxhole on Christmas Eve on the Battle of the Bulge. The price was paid by the patients that I've had who landed at Normandy, who landed at Omaha Beach. The price was paid by the Vietnam veterans that I've treated who crashed in their Huey helicopter, leaving their fingers behind, but still having the stick from the helicopter that they were driving. Those prices have been paid already. And the amount, I have to be quite honest, the amount of fraud and abuse that Doge has uncovered, and we see throughout the government, what is more important? Taking care of those people who have taken care of us without asking anything, or providing for, transgender birth control in some obscure, country around the world. America first means America first. America first means taking care of America first. And everything we have in America is the direct result of the service and sacrifice of our brave soldiers and our veterans. And let there be no misunderstanding. And let me tell you, you can't put a price on that. And there's nothing that would deter me, as I've seen from you, Captain C, as you set the example, that would stop me from supporting our veterans. And that was the greatest highlight of my time in Iceland, was when Heather and I left, and the base commander there for the Icelandic Coast Guard simply said, and I mean this with all humbleness, Ambassador Gunter set a new standard for taking care of our military. And I can't get credit for that. I give the President of the United States, President Trump, in his first term credit for that, because he made it incredibly clear that my goal and my objective was take care of the men and women, in service to America. And that's what we did. And I have to say, we had a lot of fun too. We had a great time doing it there. But when people think about the High North, they don't understand, or many do, but some don't, that embassies are not just about passports and visas. Embassies are sovereign U.S. territory that are the tip of the spear for America power, strength, and creating stability wherever they are. And in my case, it was the High North and the Arctic, which is really quite much in the news right now with everything that's going on in Greenland. But let me tell you, we have to be vigilant. Just like your veterans all know, It's a tough world out there. It's an unforgiving world. And there's plenty of people who want to take away our great American freedom. And even here at home, there's people who want to take away our guns, our great Second Amendment. And that is what guarantees our safety. That is what guarantees our democracy. And that's what guarantees our security in our country.
You know, I was telling you a story about when I was at a convention. I spoke to a sitting U.S. senator about the bill we drafted here in Veterans for America First, and it was a pricey bill. It's probably about $40 billion, and he scoffed at it like it was a joke. And I said, 40 billion is nothing. You're looking at several trillion in fraud just in Minnesota. The trillions that Doge found in fraud going overseas, and we talked about it earlier, for gender ideology but again, with you, I brought up something that most people would just laugh at. Um, but it's important. A service animal to a disabled veteran is like a veteran. That service animal is part of that person's family. And my suggestion, and in this bill, I want the federal government to issue a military ID or a retiree ID or a VA ID to that animal, a government ID to that animal, because for too long, all you have to do is go online and look up service dog IDs or certificates, and you can pay $50 or whatever it is, and you get a fake vest for your dog, fake patches, fake certificates, and then you can go into any amusement park and go to the front of the line. You go into restaurants with your animal. It's BS. These animals for service members should have a federal ID, their food, their stipends to take care of that dog. I think their vet bills are paid for. I got to look that up. But there should be no cost, not only to that veteran, but they should have that government ID. And when you go into any of these places, you show that ID like you show your own if you get a veteran's discount. And there should be IDs for service animals, legit service animals, and anyone else turned away, because people are making a mockery out of service animals, and then the real people who need them, you know what, they now feel like, what, did everyone get one of these animals? This is special. And everyone's walking around with emotional support peacocks on planes. But the thing that's special about you is immediately you saw the need for it, and how deep, because you're in a medical professional, what it means to a veteran.
Besides the fact that cost should be no object, it's effective treatment. It absolutely works. It provides for their health and their safety and the security of those individuals who provided for the health, the safety, and security of all of us here in America. That's first and foremost. Secondly, if you don't mind me mentioning, Captain C, you educated me. You taught me that TRICARE for life at the moment is not TRICARE for life. And that's something that really struck home with me, because in my practice, I've treated so many veterans from Fort Hood to many of the other bases to across the board. And the reason for that is because, again, these individuals did so much for us. And to think that when they turn to Medicare, their TRICARE for life all of a sudden is not TRICARE for life. And all of a sudden, these expenses that were associated with their brave and brilliant military service, they then have to start paying for. Not acceptable, not appropriate. And I would fight for that tooth and nail for our great veterans, because TRICARE for life, in my opinion, should be TRICARE for life. Absolutely. And whether you're at Edwards Air Force Base, whether you're at Fort Hood, or any of the other bases that I've been honored to work around, to those veterans, TRICARE for life, to Dr. Ambassador Jeff Gunter, means that it will be, and I will fight tooth and nail for TRICARE for life.
This is the difference between a politician who will say anything to get elected and an elected official who will get elected to do whatever he can to help other people. And you're right about TRICARE for Life, and we did speak about that. Why should we be fumbling with, do I have my Medicare card with me? What is my number? Oh, I have TRICARE, I have this other insurance. TRICARE for Life. And don't say because I have a private insurance, I pay extra for private insurance. Well, the government will say, well, if you have private insurance that you pay for, that goes before your TRICARE's. Why should we pay when you have private insurance? That private insurance is for me, for my well-being, for me to feel like if I have something that TRICARE won't cover, I can go to that. But what TRICARE does is Medicare first, your private insurance next, then us. Like, why should the federal government have to pay your bills? We just give them TRICARE for Life. You never go on Medicare. You don't need any other private insurances. And it makes it easier for that person who has got enough going on with their medical issues to just say, here's my ID, there's your healthcare number on the back, and it's done. It's these little things that keep the 22 a day, which you know what that means, a suicide rate for veterans, which, by the way, is a false number, because 22 a day talks about, and I don't like the word, but there's no other word that I can think of right now, successful suicides. That doesn't count the attempted suicides. So
or the torment that they're experiencing every single day. You know, you know, go to Fallujah a couple times and see it changes you and it transforms you fundamentally. And I've seen that in my practice. The great veterans who've served in combat have been in those situations. It changes who you are. It changes everything about you. And that acknowledgement that these individuals have specialized healthcare needs, and that for them, TRICARE for Life needs to be TRICARE for Life, is an important issue. And God bless you, Captain C, for fighting so hard for all this. It's really
one more thing that we spoke about, and I brought this up to you out of our Veterans First Act of 2026. President Trump, this man is a godsend, and I know that. And a lot of people are trying to take away from what this man has accomplished. But in his first term, I think it was an EO, an executive order, his right to try for people with cancer patients, right? Why should you not be able to try some miracle drug or some new drug that they have in Germany? It just hasn't gone through our FDA process, or whatever, not FDA, the process here.
yeah.
Veterans.
Clinical trials. Yeah. Bypass all the bureaucracy, bypass all the clinical trials. Yeah.
Why are veterans not given, why is the VA needs to start funding, because I'm sure they don't have these types of processes or these drugs at the VA, but pay for it. Stem cell therapy. I had them written down, the hyperbaric chambers, the platelet replacement, platelet PRP. HGH. They're starting to do, and I told you earlier, a little bit of testosterone there, but there are so many of these new procedures. A lot of people use them for anti-aging, but the millionaires are paying for them, and they're feeling a lot better. They're reducing their pain. Stem cell used to be at a location. Now they're doing it intravenously. These disabled veterans should have every right to try these types of procedures over anyone else, but they can't.
110%.
I had them written down here. I can't remember.
Yeah.
Hyperbaric oxygen therapy, human growth hormone, testosterone therapy, platelet-rich plasma, nanoparticle drug delivery, regenerative tissue treatment. Why shouldn't a veteran have regenerative treatment?
But it's also a fundamental shift that we need to have in our government, where instead of us saying why when it comes to the health care of our veterans, why can't we say why not? And that is the basic premise. It's very simple. And that's the basic premise with every single thing that you've outlined in this amendment. It's not why, it's why not. And the reason why we can say why not is because, as we talked about at the beginning, every single thing that we do with our family, with our friends, every benefit, every aspect of our freedom is a direct result of the service and sacrifice of our great military and our great veterans. So I would absolutely say, with your entire list, not why, but why not?
I love it, man. This is music to me. This is like a symphony. You know, it's soothing. It soothes me right now where I'm in pain 24 hours a day. This makes me feel like I have options. Someone's out there fighting for me. I'm fighting right now to get spinal cord stimulation and cervical spinal cord stimulation, and the VA is fighting me. I did find a surgeon who'll do it, but I got to do it on my private insurance. Like, if you can reduce the pain of a disabled veteran by 50%, you're gonna have more married, you're gonna have more veterans staying married. You're gonna have more fathers who are able to do things with their children rather than sitting in a room by themselves because they can't deal with the pain. And then those poor kids grow up angry, or they have some sort of emotional problem because they don't have a father around to give them the advice and the guidance that they need, or a mother for that matter. But pain, if we could do something about pain in the veteran community, you will see in the veteran families a group of children grow up so mentally sound. But thank God you're running. Thank God you understand this stuff. We need we need 435 of you.
You cannot underestimate, as a physician, the impact that pain has on not only patients in general, but on our military community and our veterans. Imagine the constant reminder of the trauma that they went through every time they wake up with that same pain. And again, it's not why should we treat it, it's why not should we treat it. And that's really my answer, and that'll be my answer, whether it's here with Captain C, as I'm so blessed and honored to be, or whether I'm representing each and every one of you watching this podcast as the next congressman from Nevada. My door is open. The greatest blessing I had as a U.S. ambassador was working with our military and representing phenomenal president, the greatest of all time, President Trump, but also the blessing to take care of veterans in my practice and as a U.S. ambassador, and being the son of a judge advocate and the great grandnephew of a navigator in World War I who never stepped in a boat. So
That's great.
an incredible blessing.
Ambassador, I have to tell you, this is a great conversation. We've had a couple before this, but I really wanted to get this in this video so we can get this out through social media and let people know in Nevada, not Nevada, that you have a special person running in Nevada's 3rd congressional district, and we wish you the best of luck. We are going to do everything within our power to get the voters, especially the veterans and the law enforcement officers in that district, to know who you are and that you support enhanced protections for law enforcement officers, enhanced benefits and stability in the benefits of veterans. You're a special man, Ambassador. I'm honored to have met you. I think you're going to make an amazing congressman, and hopefully one day senator, governor, wherever you go, we'll be behind you.
God bless you, Robert, if I may say that. And
I got to always use those blessings.
Yeah, and
we all need them.
We all know what you're doing, and again, we know what you're up against, and you're standing up tall. You're not backing down.
Never.
And your mission is clear. So God bless you.
God bless you too. This is Robert Cornicelli, National President for Veterans for America First, with Ambassador and Dr. Jeff Gunter running for Congress in the great state of Nevada and his 3rd congressional district. Good night, everyone.